McNair shocked everybody by acquiring six-time All-Star DeMar DeRozan from the Chicago Bulls, but everybody's questioning whether or not his playstyle would mesh well with the current Kings roster. Sup guys, so clearly if you've been following the NBA at all, you've obviously heard about the biggest offseason signing in franchise history for the Sacramento Kings, when McNair pulled off the legendary three-team sign and trade to only manage to get rid of Harrison Barnes to the Spurs, Duarte in the second rounder back to Chicago to get DeMar DeRozan. And without a doubt, that is a massive game changer. And he shocked everybody as nobody expected him to pull off a move like this. But it poses a lot of questions as people just question his fit, as his play style, you know, isn't really what the Sacramento Kings exactly need. But I think without a doubt, his offensive talent is going to benefit us greatly. But before we get into the rest of the video, welcome back to Kings Digest, the channel that showcases all of the upcoming Sacramento Kings news. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, as YouTube still tells me that 94% of you guys that watch my videos still aren't yet subscribed. So let's try to get to 200 subs before the next season gets here. And make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any of the future content. Now let's head over to this report where Sabonis talks about how excited he is to play with his new teammate DeRozan. As he states, he is definitely excited, as DeRozan is a very smart player and has been in the league forever and has done so much. I'm excited to learn from him and pick his brain, and I hope everyone else is too, so everyone can get better overall, as Sabonis said to Sean Cunningham. It's safe to say that he is looking forward to playing alongside DeRozan. Sabonis states, "I'm happy he is here, then getting to spend that week with him in LA and getting to know him more, I'm really excited." He tried to explain how DeRozan's style of play would fit with his and Sacramento teams in general. As he states, "I think it's going to be good for us, as it will make us think differently on the court, move differently, and read each other, as we are used to playing one style, but he does something at a Hall of Fame level that we're going to have to play around, and it's going to make it so much harder for teams to guard us because we can basically score from anywhere," Sabonis said. And I definitely agree with that, as we were already an elite offensive squad, and we just have an elite fast-paced offense that Mike Brown preaches on us religiously, and we just execute amazingly, and it's just become a staple to Sacramento Kings offense. It's just that fast-paced intensity, and adding DeMar DeRozan to that does change things up a little bit, as DeMar will be able to slow the pace down a little bit, as his style of play more so revolves around that isolation and getting to his spot on the court and just trying to find his shots and create shots and basically just play a different style of play than the Sacramento Kings are typically used to. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as it gets you used to different styles of play, so you can get into when you get into different situations on the court, you can adapt to them better. And I think this is beneficial for the Sacramento Kings. And Mike Brown is going to have a field day adding DeMar DeRozan to that starting rotation, as we just add another elite offensive threat to an already offensively loaded roster. But there's just a couple of questions that people, are kind of iffy about, as DeMar is without a doubt a superstar in the NBA. There is a side to his game that isn't all that great, and yes, you guessed it, that's the defense. And as a report here states, at large, the NBA community seems split on the acquisition, almost exclusively due to Sacramento's lack of defense. DeRozan, who averaged 25.5 points over 3 seasons in Chicago, is primarily known for scoring, and not his talent of stopping others from doing the same. And that is the truest statement I've ever heard, as DeRozan is a wizard when it comes to the offensive end of the ball, but he more so tries to save all of his energy for his offense and just tries to relax a bit on defense, maybe try to predict a pass or two to try to get an odd steal here and there. But as this report states, it's an odd reaction given that the rest of the Kings roster is heavily screwing offense in the first place. The team's starting center, Domantas Sabonis, is far from an effective rim protector, which is hands down the most crucial defensive position on the floor. And obviously, yes, Sabonis is a do-it-all center and one of the greatest centers in the league, but he is not the greatest rim protector, and basically we don't have one of the most crucial defensive aspects on the court in rim protection with Sabonis, as he does what he can, but it isn't all too much. And I know we did bring in Orlando Robinson, which if he does play some minutes, he could add a bit more rim protection for us, as a bit more length, a 7-footer. We do have Alex Len, who could kind of do that a bit more than what Sabonis can, but basically we're lacking that defensive aspect, and Sabonis makes up for that with being an elite offensive center and an elite playmaker, being the second best playmaking big in the league. But I mean, defense is something that we do need to focus on heavily, and DeMar DeRozan does not add any benefits to that factor at all. As we just look over at his defensive rating last season was a 118, which is not the best by any means. And while McNair clearly didn't make this move for DeMar DeRozan's defense, he wanted his elite offensive scoring ability. And he clearly seen that the offensive side of his game overlooks the defensive liabilities of making this trade, and he decided that it was worth the risk. And I do believe that DeMar DeRozan, adding on to this already offensively talented roster, is just going to work wonders, as we are just such a dangerous team to go against. I mean, even if he isn't the best defensively, if we insert Keon Ellis, who's proving to be one of the best, 3-and-D rising stars in the league right now, as he's still young and he's going to blossom to an elite 3-and-D guard. He's already proven to be an elite guard stopper in today's league. He's only going to get better. If Kevin Huerter can come back in 2025 and be the elite defensive monster that he was in Providence, I mean, we are looking good in that aspect on having some perimeter defense. Keegan Murray is a good, versatile, switchable defender, and obviously De'Aaron Fox is a plus defender as well. So, honestly, in my opinion, you do take that risk any day of the week to get DeMar DeRozan and add on to that offensive firepower. Because in my opinion, we have some pieces that if they develop right, and if Kevin Huerter can come back healthy and Keegan Murray take that next leap in his game, I do think that we can hold our own defensively. And we are just going to be a dangerous team to go against in the playoffs. One of the biggest reasons that we wanted to get DeMar DeRozan is how much he's going to help us in the crunch time. As we see here, at DeMar DeRozan, he's ranked 6th here. He scored 182 points in the clutch, and that is second behind Stephen Curry, who led the NBA with 189. DeRozan also shot 48.7% in the clutch from the field and shot 46.7% from 3. And I mean, a lot of people are questioning his floor spacing abilities. Clearly, in the clutch, that doesn't seem to matter, as he is going to knock down that three more times than not. And it's basically whether or not, if you need a bucket, if your life's on the line, you call DeMar DeRozan, as he is going to hit that shot more times than not, as he's somebody you trust anytime with the ball in his hands when the clock is down to under 2 minutes left in the fourth. And I do think having him with De'Aaron Fox, who's another one of the league's most clutch players, is just going to help us win a few more extra games and just be more dangerous to go against, wear teams down. And when we get to that fourth quarter, teams can't take us lightly, as we have two of the best closers in the game in Fox and DeMar DeRozan. And so I do think the Sacramento Kings will be in great hands with this insane acquisition of DeMar DeRozan. And I can't wait to see how Mike Brown utilizes him and sees what lineups he throws in to start, our season against the Wolves on October 24th. So just let me know down below. Obviously this deal has happened for a while, is near the beginning of the offseason, but let me know your expectations on how DeMar DeRozan is going to fit in with the Sacramento Kings roster, and how his defense, or how his offense kind of overlooks his defense, and if you think that this move was a risk worth taking, essentially. And basically, guys, that's all for today's video. So peace out. I'll see you in the next one.